Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. As promised, I'm wearing the football jersey this week, so everybody take a look. There's the Comic Hero word mark, and then the number 16. And on the sleeves, you have the number 16. And on the back, you have number 16 and the Comic Hero shield right above it. Now, one of my friends had asked me, why don't you just put your last name on the back of the jersey? And well, I told her because everybody knows who I am. Oh, and by the way, Nate Nasworthy, if you're watching this, let it go. Just because I didn't wear it last week doesn't mean you got to be griping and moaning about it from weeks on end. Just be happy I'm wearing it this week. Okay, I want to mention a mistake that I made in last week's show when I was reviewing Superman number 29. I forgot to mention, well, actually, I misnamed the guest character that was going to be in the book. I kept saying Firestar. I meant to say Starfire. So for all you diehard Teen Titans fans, uh, I apologize. I'm very sorry about that. Charge it to my head, not to my heart. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let the ranting begin.
What you talking about, Willis?
All right, the first thing I want to talk about is April Fool's Day. As you know, this past Tuesday, April 1st, 2014, was April Fool's Day. And, this is the day where we all pull pranks on each other. And the people on SaintsNation.com had pulled a prank on all the Saints fans and posted this bogus story that Saints tight end Jimmy Graham had gotten traded. Just when we thought that, they made all these dumb cuts and cut folks like Roman Harper, Will Smith, and traded Darren Sproles to the Eagles for draft picks and cash consideration, we find out about this. And we were all thinking that it was true, but then later on we found out that it was a bunch of malarkey, a bunch of nonsense. And I too was fooled by it. I almost drove off the road after listening to it on the radio. But then one thing I found out was that Saints Nation, they pull April Fool's jokes like that every year. And that's only because 5 years ago, SaintsNation.com became a website. And coincidentally, it was right before the season they won the Super Bowl. So I mean, I'm probably thinking that a lot of you have even been the victim of some April Fool's pranks or pulled some of your own. And I know I have, and I know I've done some very messed up stuff to some people on April Fool's Day. Oh, by the way, this is going to be my last show. Just hate to tell you that. April Fools! Yeah, I know. April Fool's Day was 2 days ago. If you're watching this and it's Thursday, April the 3rd. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Of course, it's coming out in theaters tomorrow. I know there's a few of you who are going to go out and see a midnight showing of it. Unfortunately, I won't be. But I am going to go out and see it on Friday. And I tell you, after watching the trailer and hearing about it, that overseas it raked in $25 million, or $25,000, right? Actually, in the box office. I was right the first time, not the second time. Um, I think it's gonna do well. I'm looking forward to seeing it, and and I believe it's. I don't know if it's going to be better than the first one or better than the Avengers, but it's going to be somewhere in that neighborhood. All right, that's all I want to talk about. This week on Comicology 101, I'll be covering The Incredible Hulk. And I want to thank my friend Sarah from Jacksonville, Arkansas for suggesting this. So, everybody, pull out your paper and pens. Class is about to be in session. Welcome back to Comicology 101. This week, we'll be going over one of the most unstoppable characters in comics, the Incredible Hulk. The Hulk was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and made his first appearance in The Incredible Hulk #1 back in 1962. That issue was written by Stan Lee, penciled by Jack Kirby, and inked by Paul Reinman. Stan Lee cites influences from Frankenstein and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in the Hulk's creation. He said, and I quote, "It was patently apparent that the Thing was the most popular character in Fantastic Four. For a long time, I'd been aware of the fact that people were more likely to favor someone who was less than perfect. It's a safe bet you can remember Quasimodo, but how easily can you name any of the heroic, handsome, more glamorous characters in The Hunchback of Notre Dame? And then there's Frankenstein. I've had a soft spot in my heart for Frankenstein monster. No one could ever convince me that he was the bad guy. He never wanted to hurt anyone. He merely groped his torturous way through a second life, trying to defend himself, trying to come to terms with those who sought to destroy him. I decided I might as well borrow from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde as well. Our protagonist would constantly change from his normal identity to his superhuman alter ego and back again." End quote. In the debut, Lee chose gray for the Hulk because he wanted a skin color that didn't suggest any particular ethnic group. Colorist Stan Goldberg, however, had problems with the gray coloring, resulting in different shades of gray and even green. After seeing the first published issue, Lee chose to change the skin color to green. Green was used in retellings of the origin, with even reprints of the original story being recolored for the next 2 decades, until the Incredible Hulk number 302 back in December of 1984 reintroduced a gray Hulk in flashbacks set close to the origin story. Since then, reprints of the first issue have displayed the original gray coloring, with the fictional canon specifying the Hulk's skin had initially been gray. The Hulk's original series was canceled with issue number 6 in March of 1963. Lee had written each story, with Kirby penciling the first 5 issues and Steve Ditko penciling and inking the 6th. The character immediately guest starred in Fantastic Four number 12 in March of 1963, and months later became a founding member of the Avengers, appearing in the first 2 issues, and returning as an antagonist in issue number 3, and an ally in issue number 5. He then guest starred in Fantastic Four numbers 25 and 26, which revealed Banner's full name as Robert Bruce Banner, and then appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man number 14 in July of 1964. Around this time, co-creator Kirby received a letter from a college dormitory stating that the Hulk had been chosen as its official mascot. Kirby and Lee realized their character had found an audience in college-age readers. A year and a half after The Incredible Hulk was canceled, the Hulk became one of 2 features in Tales to Astonish, beginning with issue 60 in 1964. Robert Bruce Banner was the son of an alcoholic who deeply hated him. Banner's mother showed much affection for her child, who returned her love, but this only served to fuel his father's rage. Dr. Brian Banner was an atomic physicist who worked on producing clean nuclear power as an energy source, but he was afraid his exposure to it mutated his son's genes. Bruce showed high signs of intelligence at an early age, which strengthened his father's belief. Brian became abusive to Bruce when his mother intervened. Brian murdered her. He frightened Bruce to keep quiet, but his own bragging landed him in a psychiatric institute. As a child, Bruce was withdrawn, possibly developing a split personality to help deal with his pain and rage. His only happiness came from spending time with his cousin Jennifer Walters, who we'll talk about later. Bruce found it hard to develop friendships and often found himself on the receiving end of physical abuse at the hands of school bullies. One such incident sparked him to build and plant a bomb in the basement of his school. The bomb was a dud, and Bruce was expelled, but the military took notice of his genius. Eventually, Bruce earned a doctorate in nuclear physics and started a career with them. During the experimental detonation of a gamma bomb, Banner rushes to save teenager Rick Jones, who is driven into the testing field. Banner pushes Jones into a trench to save him, but is himself hit with the blast, absorbing massive amounts of gamma radiation. He awakens later in an infirmary seeming relatively unscathed, but that night transforms into a lumbery gray form that breaks into the wall and escapes. The soldier in the ensuing search party dubs the otherwise unidentified creature a Hulk. The original incarnation of Banner transformed into the Hulk at sunset and reverted at sunrise. Banner was cured in the Incredible Hulk number 4, but chose to restore Hulk's powers with Banner's intelligence. The gamma ray machine needed to effect the transformation induced side effects which made Banner temporarily sick and weak when he returned to his normal state. One adversary that almost always beat the Hulk was the Abomination. Emil Blonsky first appeared in Tales to Astonish number 90 and was introduced as a KGB agent and spy who became the Abomination after deliberately exposing himself to a greater quantity of the same gamma radiation that transformed Bruce Banner into his alter ego, the Hulk. Blonsky used a machine Banner was planning on using to commit suicide. In his first appearance, Blonsky became a large, scaly humanoid with twice the strength of the Hulk. In accordance to Stan Lee's wishes, the character defeated the Hulk in their first battle. The two fought several times over the years. The 1970s saw Banner and Dr. Betty Ross, a budding scientist and daughter of General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, nearly marry in the Incredible Hulk number 124 in February of 1970. Betty ultimately married Major Glenn Talbot in issue number 158 in December of 1972. It was during that time that the Hulk traveled to other dimensions, one of which had him meet Empress Jarella, who used magic to bring Banner's intelligence to the Hulk and came to love him. Unfortunately, she died sometime later. One of the most popular issues of The Incredible Hulk came out in 1974 with issue number 181. This issue marked the debut of one of the most beloved Marvel characters of all time, Wolverine. In this issue, it was The Incredible Hulk versus Wolverine versus Wendigo. 1980 marked the debut of the first female Hulk, She-Hulk, in Savage She-Hulk number 1. Jennifer Walters, the cousin of Bruce Banner, is the small and somewhat shy daughter of Los Angeles County Sheriff William Morris Walters and Elaine Banner Walters, who died in a car crash when Jennifer was 17. Operatives of Nicholas Trask, a crime boss who had crossed paths with her father, shot and seriously wounded her on the day that Bruce Banner happened to be in town for a visit. Since no other donors with her blood type were available, Banner provided his own blood for a transfusion, as they already shared the same blood type and DNA. His radioactive blood, combined with her anger, transformed Jennifer into a green-skinned She-Hulk when the mobsters tried to finish her off at the hospital. As She-Hulk, Jennifer possessed powers similar to those of her cousin, though at a reduced level. She also possessed a less monstrous, more Amazonian appearance. Initially, the transformation to her She-Hulk form was triggered, as with Bruce Banner, by anger. Like her cousin Bruce, his counterpart, the leader, Doc Samson, and most other persons mutated by exposure to gamma radiation over the years, her mutated form was originally explained as being molded by her subconscious desire to look like the ideal woman. She eventually gains control of her transformations when Michael Morbius cures her of a lethal blood disease. As a criminal defense lawyer, she defended Michael Morbius in his trial for his vampiric killings. Eventually, Jennifer decides that she is going to retain her She-Hulk form permanently, preferring the freedom, confidence, and assertiveness that it gave her compared to her most timorous and fragile normal form. A few years later, Banner finally married Betty Ross in The Incredible Hulk number 319 in May of 1986, following Talbot's death in 1981. It was also established that Banner had serious mental problems even before he became the Hulk, having suffered childhood traumas that engendered Bruce's repressed rage. Gamma-powered psychiatrist Leonard Doc Samson captured the Hulk and successfully separated Banner and his alter ego. Without Banner's psyche to restrain him, the Hulk became even a greater danger than ever before. Realizing there was only one way to rein in the Hulk, Banner agreed to merge with the monster, but the stress of the reintegration fractured Banner's subconscious, creating the street-smart Grey Hulk. During this time, he spent several years in Las Vegas, sometimes operating as an enforcer calling himself Mr. Fix-It. The smart mouth Fix-It was an ill-tempered, wisecracking, thuggish brute whose personality resembled that of his father and the fraternity boys who surrounded him in college. In this state of the Hulk, Banner again found himself changing into the Hulk at night and into his human form in the light of the day. The Green Hulk returned in the 1990s. In issue number 377 in January of 1991, the Hulk was revamped in a storyline that saw the personalities of Banner, Grey Hulk, and Savage Hulk confront Banner's past abuse at the hands of his father Brian and a new Guilt Hulk persona. Overcoming the trauma, the intelligent Banner, cunning Grey Hulk, and powerful Savage Hulk personalities merge into a new single entity possessing the traits of all three. The Hulk also joined the Pantheon, a secret organization of superpowered individuals. His tenure with the organization brought Hulk into conflict with a tyrannical alternate future version of himself called the Maestro in the 1993 Future Imperfect miniseries, who rules over a world where many heroes are dead. In 2000, Banner and the three Hulks, the Savage Hulk, Grey Hulk, and the Merge Hulk, now considered a separate personality and referred to as the Professor, became able to mentally interact with one another, each personality taking over the shared body. During this, the four personalities, including Banner, confronted yet another submerged personality, a sadistic Devil Hulk intent on attacking the world. A few years later, Banner sought refuge and peace in Alaska, where he lived as a hermit loosely connected to the town community. He was eventually tracked down by Nick Furious' S.H.I.E.L.D., who required his help in defeating the Hydra space weapon called the God's Eye, which could detonate all nuclear bombs in the world. Set up as the Hulk, he discovered that the God's Eye was actually a rogue S.H.I.E.L.D. weapon that could match the strength of any enemy. In the ensuing battle, the God's Eye found that it could not match the increasing power of the Hulk, and it exploded. A S.H.I.E.L.D. commissioned space shuttle was sent to retrieve the Hulk, or so he believed. Seizing the opportunity to be rid of the Hulk, a group of superheroes known as the Illuminati decided to jettison the shuttle into space to a planet with no intelligent life forms. Unfortunately, there was a navigation error, and the Hulk landed on Sakaar, a place full of barbarian tribes, gladiator battles, and ruled over by a corrupt empire. The planet was situated near a portal, which gave it access to different cultures and technologies. The trip made it vulnerable, and it wasn't long before he was subjugated by the Red King. Hulk was forced to fight, but he eventually brought peace to the savage planet. Hulk was proclaimed the Green King, and all those on Sakaar worshipped him and his queen Kyra. She told her king that she would bear him a child, and it seemed that the Hulk's life of running and fighting was over. However, the Hulk was not destined for a happy ending, as the ship that brought him to that world soon exploded, seemingly killing both his wife and his unborn child, sending Banner into a rage like no other. He and his war-bound journey to Earth seek revenge on the planet's heroes for their part in Sakaar's destruction. Hulk's return to the Earth was in the form of a miniseries entitled World War Hulk. Before arriving on Earth, the Hulk makes a stop on Attilan, located on the moon at the time, to confront the leader of the Inhumans, Black Bolt. Black Bolt was one of the members of the Illuminati, along with Professor X, Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic, Namor the Submariner, and Iron Man, who made the decision to shoot the Hulk into space. Hulk soundly defeated him and delivered a message to Earth via satellite, stating that he was coming to Earth to destroy it. Most of the heroes organized an evacuation plan for all the citizens of New York. Meanwhile, Iron Man became the Hulk's next victim, despite Stark putting up a valiant fight in an oversized suit. Hulk's Warbound joined in the fight later. She-Hulk tried to calm the Hulk, but not even her nor the combined might of Marvel's heroes are enough to stop him and his motley crew. Enter General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. Ross, who for years has been hell-bent on bringing down the Hulk, entered the fray. He and his mixed military group called the Gamma Corps hold nothing back and gave Hulk a run for his money. Doctor Strange took advantage of the attack and casted a calming spell on the Hulk. It worked, but temporarily. The memories of Kyra and her death made Banner angrier and turned back into the Hulk. Later, the Hulk and his Warbound bring the defeated heroes to a destroyed Madison Square Garden to fight each other. Then the Sentry, an Avenger with the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns, steps up against the Hulk. The two most powerful beings trade blow after blow, with each one destroying certain parts of the New York area, until they both knocked the power out of each other. Rick Jones goes to talk to Banner, but then notices a member of the Warbound is attempting to kill him. Rick sacrifices himself to save Banner and is stabbed half to death. This angers Banner, causing him to Hulk out once more. After killing a member of his own Warbound, the Hulk unleashes a massive amount of his power and almost takes out the entire eastern seaboard. In a last-ditch effort to stop the Hulk, Iron Man called upon the combined power of various satellites to finally put an end to Hulk's war. Banner was taken into S.H.I.E.L.D. custody and placed 3 million miles below the Mojave Desert. The Warbound also placed in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody, but they escaped after saving New York from being split in half by an expanding chasm the Hulk created. In the aftermath of World War Hulk, a new Red Hulk emerged, brutally beating and then shooting the Abomination to death. After this occurred, Rick Jones, who surprisingly made a full recovery from his injuries in World War Hulk, escaped from a secret base in Alaska that had been destroyed in a Hulk-like manner. Following this, Red Hulk confronts Jones at Gamma Base, where Bruce Banner is being held. In defense, Jones inexplicably transforms into a creature resembling the Abomination, calling himself A-Bomb. In The Incredible Hulk number 600, Red Hulk and Hulk meet for the first time. Red Hulk not only beat the Hulk, but he sapped all of Banner's gamma radiation from his genetic makeup. In Hulk Volume 2, number 15 in September of 2009, Red She-Hulk, who was created by writer Jeff Loeb and artist Ed McGuinness, makes her debut. Loeb said, and I quote, "We've been very careful with the creation of this character. We wanted to make sure she didn't come off as silly, my memory of the introduction to the original She-Hulk, before anyone had ever read a page. But the character was a completely different take on the Hulk, a Hulk we've never seen before. Jen Walters is a wonderful character. Our intention is that the She-Hulk will make an equally important impression on the Marvel Universe." End quote. After fighting him in Hulk number 23, 2010, Red She-Hulk does to the Red Hulk what he did to the Hulk and saps the gamma radiation from him. It's then revealed that the Red Hulk is actually General Ross. Red Hulk set up a meeting with General Ross that concluded with the General's death when he showed up in the Redeemer armor, intending to kill the Red Giant. After the memorial service, Red Hulk met with his new ally, who appeared to have orchestrated Ross's death all along, Bruce Banner. As Red Hulk, Ross killed Blonsky as an act of revenge for his deliberate gamma poisoning and later death of Betty. It was later that the Red She-Hulk was Betty Ross back from the dead. During the 2010 fall of the Hulk storyline, Betty Ross was revealed to have been resurrected by the Leader and MODOK at the urgings of their new ally, her father, General Ross, who had previously kept her body in cryonic stasis. She also underwent the same process that turned her father into the Red Hulk, which granted her superhuman physical power. The now villainous Doc Samson also helped Leader brainwash Betty into an extremely confused and aggravated state. The catastrophe on Sakaar, which caused the death of Kyra and the Hulk to seek revenge on those he felt responsible, gave birth to a new kind of monster. A lone child emerged from the charred waste the planet was left in. He grew quickly, and without parents to raise him, so did his rage. Taken in by savage creatures, the child learned at a young age to kill in order to survive. Soon he was given a name, Scar, and his story was just beginning. Scar was proclaimed a prophet by some and a demon by others, but all he cared about was claiming his birthright, the old power. There were those who would oppose him, but after suffering so many hardships since birth, Scar only knew how to endure. On Earth, Scar didn't find peace as an encounter with the Fantastic Four. She-Hulk and Hammer forced Norman Osborn to bomb the battlefield, seemingly killing him in the process. Scar didn't die that day, but he learned that he could transform into a young boy. His inner child despised everything Scar stood for, but Scar only had one thing on his mind: to find the Hulk and kill him for abandoning him on Sakaar. He blamed his father for every horrible thing he had to bear on his home world, and he would have the chance to pay him back when the Hulk finally arrived. Banner suppressed a personality known as the Green Scar, leaving the Savage Hulk in his place, but this incarnation was still more than a match for Scar. While Hulk had no memory of his son, This didn't stop the raging Titans from nearly causing a nuclear catastrophe during the brawl. After Hulk and the war-bound averted disaster, Scar deemed Hulk wasn't worthy enough to kill and left. Scar allied with Banner, now freed of his Hulk persona courtesy of the Red Hulk. Banner wanted to train his son should the Green Scar return and decided Scar needed to learn all the things his savage childhood denied him. Aspects like teamwork, developing friendships, and resisting temptation. Scar's training resulted in several pairings with deadly sparring partners. These partners were Juggernaut and Daken, Wolverine's son. At the end of the Incredible Hulk number 610, Bruce Banner entered a chamber full of gamma radiation and became the Hulk once again. His next objective was to stop the Red Hulk, which he did. In later issues, Hulk, along with Scar, She-Hulk, Red She-Hulk, A-Bomb, and Korg, the latter being part of Hulk's Warbound, formed a team. With this team formation, the book was renamed The Incredible Hulks, beginning with issue number 612. The opening story arc was entitled Dark Sun. As Kai entered Earth's solar system, Hero Kala mentally connected with his brother Scar, alerting him of his coming. With that knowledge, their father gathered his allies to stop Hero Kala. After the Hulk's forces made it through the starships around Kai, Hero Kala was confronted by his father, the two finally meeting face to face. Hero Kala taunted his father by killing the remainder of the brainwashed children he sent to attack him, and revealed that he would make Kai collide with Earth, destroying it in its old power. Outraged by his son's callousness, the Hulk attacked Hero Kala. During their battle, Scar is seemingly sacrificed to save a barge full of brainwashed slaves from a volcanic eruption. Hero Kala mocked his brother's sacrifice, calling him weak. The Hulk, angrier than ever, beats Hero Kala into submission, but could not bring himself to kill him, instead reverting to Bruce Banner and stunning him with an old power taser. This released Hero Kala's old power throughout the planet. Scar, in his strong form, burst out of the ground, intending to kill his brother himself. Hero Kala and Scar do battle, with Scar trying to calm his brother down. When Kai's world mind revealed to Hero Kala that the image of Kyra he saw was merely a figment of his imagination, he lost his mind, lashing out with the old power. Scar used his own old power to seal Hero Kala in a spear of stone, with only his face visible. At the same time, the rest of Team Hulk set off an explosion that knocked Kai off course, saving Earth. Kai's world mind then took Hero Kala into the planet's core, so that his old power could heal what he almost destroyed. To get you up to speed, Team Hulk is no longer around. However, four of the characters that we discussed are enjoying success. Hulk, aka Dr. Bruce Banner, is now a scientist for S.H.I.E.L.D. Red Hulk is the leader of the Thunderbolts. She-Hulk is a member of the FF. And Red She-Hulk is a member of the Defenders. And there you have it. Comicology 101 on The Incredible Hulk.
Hulk! Smash!
I want to thank my friend Sarah Kelling from Jacksonville, Arkansas for that suggestion. And I hope you enjoyed Comicology 101. So without further ado, let's get to the comic books I bought this week. Comic books I bought this week. Up first is Iron Man number 22. This is the conclusion to the Iron Metropolitan story arc that's going on in the book. And Arno Stark, who is Tony Stark's brother, he decided to name the city that they were rebuilding Troy. Of course, the city is actually the island that the Mandarin used to dwell on, but of course he's dead. But in the last few issues, the rings that the Mandarin used to wear on both of his sets of fingers, well, they're now finding new hosts, and all of them have, and one of them don't even have an effect or really affectionate for Tony Stark. So they destroyed the city, and possibly and the last thing I read, I think Arno Stark was in there. So let's hope he didn't die. Up next is X-Men number 10. They just a few issues before they had just recruited Monet. She's now a member of the X-Men. Now, keep in mind, this is the an all-female team of X-Men, with the exception of one person, one male, and that happens to be Jubilee's adopted son. And they're about to kick some butt, take some names, and I can't wait to read this issue because the last two were awesome. Up next is Superboy number 29. Now, this Superboy has pretty much recruited a whole bunch of other people to fight alongside with him, and it looks like you stand in their way, you're a dead person. Up next is Thor: God of Thunder number 18. This story is it's a standalone. It pretty much talks about Thor when he was much younger and didn't wield Mjolnir. Instead, he wielded the axe called Yarbjorn. At this point, he was young, he was stupid, and he didn't really he wasn't worthy of the hammer just yet, so he had to use an axe. Up next is Superman Wonder Woman number 4. Uh, in this issue, they find out that everybody knows that Superman and Wonder Woman are dating. And Superman, he wanted to keep it secret. One thing about Superman, he's a very private person, whereas Wonder Woman, she's pretty out there, and they're dealing with the ramifications of it. And let's just say a certain character from our classic DC villain, one of Superman's villains, is about to strike. And I believe his name rhymes with Zod. Up next is excuse me, is Aquaman number 27. Um, Now, in the last issue, he tried this creature that he's finding to cover. Well, the last issue, his wife Mira had pretty much propelled him all the all the way to the sky high enough so he could land and deliver a knockout punch. Well, that didn't work. So now he's gonna try to use hand to hand comeback or lack thereof. But I don't think you could. I don't think there's really no such thing as using hand to hand combat against a giant sea monster. Not even if you are the king of the seven seas. Up next is Green Lantern number 30. Now this one, he in the last issue he pretty much, he there's this other race of human beings that they're not really, they don't care for the Green Lantern Corps. They just want to get Hal Jordan, and they found him, and now he's in a huge dilemma with his life on the line. But let's just hope Hal Jordan lives through this. Just all right, and lastly, Action Comics number 30. Now, in the last issue, we had thought that Superman was going to die after he had gotten stabbed, but in the last issue, he actually quickly healed from it, and now he's going after the folks responsible for not only for stabbing him but for other things that are going on. And it's somebody. It is these folks. This alien race are they human? But they're well, right. From what I've read, I think they're aliens masquerading as human beings, and they're only known as an organization called Tower. And Superman has said, "All right, enough is enough, and it's time for a change." With apologies to the late great Owen Hart for saying that. I'm sorry. All right, that's 8 comics I bought, which brings the total of comics to excuse me 6,157. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and if you have any ideas for the show, whether it be the Victor rant segment, if you're something you want me to rant about, let me know. If there's something that if there's a character or a book that you want me to talk about in Comicology 101, let me know. I mean, I'm serious, guys, and I hope uh, all of you that watch this show, y'all take it seriously. Um, I actually know someone that's in my trumpet section at ULM. I encouraged him. I told them about the show. I encouraged them to watch it, and they told me, "Sorry, I'm not into comic books." Thing is, you don't have to be into comic books to watch this show, because that's not the only thing I talk about. I mean, that's mainly the thing I talk about, but I talk about other things. I mean, I've talked about relationships. I've talked about um, why animal cruelty is wrong. I've talked about Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL. Nothing is out of bounds on this show, especially the Victor Rant segment. All right. As I always say, if you have any suggestions for the show, let me know. Whether it be all that or oh, by the way, if you stop watching this video after I say be safe, be blessed, be a hero, you're missing out because in the end credits, I might put your name in there. If I know you well enough, if you like the Comic Hero fan forum, I'll put your name in the end credits. I mean that's that's something that I've been doing well for not in the first episode, maybe early on. I don't exactly remember the first episode that I started putting folks' names in the end credits, but if you stop before the end credits start, you're missing out. And that, and I always leave my contact information. Well, just say that you can meet me on Facebook. I mean, you can contact me on Facebook, meet me, or my email address, comic underscore hero underscore vn at yahoo.com. I'm doing that because I want to do an episode where I could read your questions live and then answer them. A Q&A section, Q&A segment, if you will. That's what I want to do. But of course, if you email me something derogatory like you should cancel the show or you ought, or stuff like that, I won't read it. I'll only read positive email emails. That's it. All right. Next week I'll be wearing the Comic Hero baseball jersey. Um, 2 people voted for that jersey, so well, you know what? Even if anyone voted for, I'm going to wear it because because I made it and it's Comic Hero related. All right, I'm Victor Nolly. I am the Comic Hero. We'll see you next week. Till then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.